Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Jay What If, back at it again with another banger, actually. I know last video I said that the next video would be me talking about why I went on a 8 month hiatus, or I think it was actually like nine. I don't know. Why I went on a hiatus was, to put it shortly, was I had a lot of family stuff going on in February, and then I couldn't really pick it back up because over the summer I went to I was on vacation, so I went to California. Then I did other things that I don't feel like getting into, but then after I did that, after I came back from California, I had a few weeks, and then I had my 18th birthday. Because I think I went to Cali in like July, and then a few weeks later, I actually had my 18th birthday party, and so that month of like February, I had a bunch of family stuff. Then I was still in high school at the time. So February, March, April, May, I didn't really feel like uploading. Like I graduated in May from an amazing school. Then I kind of, well, after that, I in June I kind of just hung out. I didn't really do much. Played games, got closer to friends. Did the whole like ordeal. Kind of forgot that I needed to make a video kind of explaining why I was gone, but at the same time, like, just like make one in general. Then July came around, and for like the first half of it, I went to California. So like it was like us planning me going to California. So I wasn't really worried about making videos at that time. Then after I came back to like not even like I think like a few weeks after I came back, I had gone into a car accident, and then after I got like went through all of that, then I had my 18th birthday literally later that week. Like I think I got into a wreck like a full like 8 days before my birthday. So then like around September I got a new car. So that's where that was at. And also like in August I started college. So life is busy, but since we're getting to that like slower time of the year, whether it being like Thanksgiving break, December, like Christmas, like December, like honestly just winter, slows like a lot of life down for everybody. I mean, y'all also have to think like I have a job. I was a full-time student. Like I'm also like a full-time family member. People just get busy, and that's the way life goes. Now, don't worry. I'm not gonna yap y'all's ear off. I just wanted to give like a basic summary. So without further ado, let's get started on how what if Deku was Kurama's son. We started our story off with a man with yellow hair activating Baryon mode, and Kurama obviously disappearing from his body. Now, once he dissipated from Naruto's world, actually, he was transported to an unknown world, but this time he was in a human body. It was weird to him how he was how he was supposed to be a fox, yet now he's this man. He doesn't know how to explain it. He thinks, oh, since I'm a human now, I probably don't have chakra. Like I'm in this like unknown world. He walks around the city, and for a good like week, he obviously has clothes on, but they're like raggedy clothes, and like he's just like, whoa, what is this like new world? What are these people with quirks? Like what are these things called? Then he accidentally bumps into what he thinks is a beautiful, just green hair, green eyed woman. They begin talking, and he says, I'm actually not from around here. Do you think you could show me around? And he's speaking like old Japanese. Like he's not speaking like modern slang, but she understands him for the most part. And she's like, yeah, sure, I'll show you around. So she proceeds to show him around Musutafa, Japan, which is actually where UA High School is located. They walk around, and she teaches him a little bit of like modern day slang. So he picks up on it like pretty fast. Like he's not dumb. Like he can pick it up pretty fast. They end up going to the mall, and they figure out like he doesn't have any money. Then they introduce each other, like obviously, and he's like, oh, my name's Kurama, but you can just call me Ku. And and she introduces herself as Inka Midoriya. And they continue walking, and they go down this bridge with this lake underneath, and they're just surrounded by sakura blossoms, and he's just seeing the beauty of the world, like from a human perspective, not even like as a tailed beast. He's seeing the beauty of humankind and how the things like get created. Then he decides like, okay, let's get my life together. So he ends up actually getting a job hanging out with Inko. And like he gets a job, like a part-time job, and then he dedicates the rest of that time to helping Inko out, like with family stuff, or like the things that she's doing. Then after about a year, they don't date yet. They're not like dating, but they are like kind of. So after about like a year, he saves up some money and he decides to ask her out, and they go on a date. And then on this date, he asks like, would you want to see the world with me? Like, I've known nothing of this world and I want to see it all with you. And she says yes. So for the next like year or two, they spend an entire like 2 years exploring the rest of Asia, Europe, and this is like all of Europe, not including Russia. I'm saying like the European continents, like Russia is kind of its own continent, and then also parts of Africa. But then they end up actually where they most recently end off is America. And whenever they're in America, they see a blonde man stop a villain, literally like a foot or two in front of them. This villain gets stopped, gets punched, gets absolutely molly-rocked in the face. And they see another person. So actually what ends up happening is a brown-haired man in a bright red car pulls up behind this blonde-haired man. And of course, they know this blonde-haired man to be All Might, a professional American hero. And they know this brown-haired man to be none other than David Shield, aka the richest and smartest man alive. Then they see Kurama, without All Might or David Shield knowing, that he sees a man trying to attack David Shield's car. So Kurama, still thinking he doesn't have chakra, runs in, punches the dude, and whenever he does this, he goes, like instinctively, he goes to actually infuse his hand with chakra, and he realizes like, oh, my chakra never left my body. I still have this enormous nine-tailed beast chakra pool, almost as if he was a Jinchuriki, but he is the tailed beast. Then David Shield turns around hearing this thud from a punch. David actually looks behind him and is like, thanks for the help. So after this, the man hops out the car, he detains the villain and thanks the dude. And is like, nice to see there's some good people out there. And then they go off. But little did either of them know, this was a journey of a lifetime for the two, or well, their kids. So later that week, Kurama and Inko are actually sitting in a restaurant looking at a map, trying to figure out where they want to go next. Like, do they want to go back to Africa and explore some more? Do they want to explore the rest of America? Do they want to go to Canada, Mexico, the South America? Like they want to know like, where do we go next? Then a man walks in, the same brown-haired man, but this time he's with a blonde woman who looks to be like his wife. The man walks up to Kurama, noticing that they're looking at a map and trying to figure out where to go, and he was like, Hawaii's beautiful this time around in year. And they look at him, and he looks at him. Also, thanks for the help. My name's David Shield. And they shake hands, and so they actually start talking for a few minutes. And then they go and sit in another booth. The man and the girl go and sit in another. David Shield and his wife go sit in another booth. Wow, I cannot speak. Then, after this interaction, Kurama actually looks at Inko and is like, hey, how about we stay here for a while, Not like settling down, but how about we just like live in America for a few years? And they do. So for the next year and a half, they actually live in America, and the Shield family and the Midoriyas actually become pretty close friends. And in this time, Kurama and Inko get married. Half a year later, they actually have a green-haired son who looks really similar to Inko. Around the same time, David actually has a blonde daughter, but sadly, during labor, he actually lost his wife. But this is where the story of our protagonist for What If Deku was Kurama's son actually begins. The young boy actually grows up in America, but him and the girl are super close. From the age of like, from the womb all the way to like the age of like 4. They are just like best friends. They get completely along. And David Shield actually tests Melissa and Deku even early. Like he would still like want to see like the bone and like see how like the mutation of quirked people, and finding out that both of them are actually quirkless. Kurama knowing more than likely Izuku has this power of chakra that he wants to help him get into, but he's too young. So after the like first 4 years of Melissa and Deku just being super close, they actually, Inko and Kurama, like deciding like, yeah, we actually need to move back to Japan. Like we love the Shields, we love America, but we want Inko's parents to know who Deku is and like see him as a person. They as well want to get actual like stable jobs. Like they don't want to, like they have jobs but they're just like part-time so they can actually take care of their kid. David Shield, understanding this, offers to pay for anything they need, kind of wanting them to stay in America. But they say like, nah man, like I don't want to abuse your kindness. Like you've already done so much for us. Like you gave our son like an amazing person to play with and like have like a connection with, so that way he didn't have to grow up alone. As well, like your help, like because he was helping them have a place to stay, and they're like, you've already done so much for us, so I mean, like we don't want to like use any more. And he's like, okay, I understand, but at least let me pay for your flights home, so, and get y'all like situated and stuff. And honestly, how about Izuku comes over for like a month every summer, because I don't want Melissa to grow up alone and without him and wonder like where her best friend went. They look at each other and they agree, and they say, that actually sounds amazing. We don't want our son, just because he's more than likely going to be quirkless, we don't want him to be discriminated against by the other kids in his class. So whenever they move back to Japan, after a few weeks, that's whenever school starts up. And by school, I mean daycare. So they put Izuku in daycare so that way they can get real jobs, and that way they can get full-time jobs where they can actually pay for a house and do all these amazing things. So, but in this daycare, this is where Izuku actually meets a blonde-haired boy named Katsuki Bakugo. They end up actually immediately hitting it off, like they're best friends. Like from the first week, they seem like they're inseparable. After about a month of school, however, Bakugo figures out that he unlocked his quirk, and he leaves early to get it tested and to see how powerful it was and to see what it was. But once he comes back the next day, everyone starts swarming around him, hearing, like seeing Bakugo popping off these explosions in his hands, thinking, "Whoa, that's so cool! Like your quirk is so flashy. Like I know you're gonna be a pro hero." And they're just like constantly singing his praises. And Izuku, knowing he would be quirkless, kind of stays quiet. He just focuses. He continues drawing the thing that he was doing, and he actually was thinking about Melissa and just being like, dang, I can't wait to go back to America and like play with her and like have fun. Bakugo then walks over, asking Izuku if he's unlocked it yet, and he says no. Bakugo's face actually dropping slightly. Then after another week of realizing Deku's not unlocking his quirk, he actually begins giving him the nickname Deku, saying that this means like useless. Izuku takes his blatant bullying. Like, honestly, he doesn't really care. But then Bakugo starts bullying another kid. And Izuku obviously steps in and is like, Kachan, you need to stop this. He didn't do anything wrong. Just because he has a weak quirk doesn't mean you can bully him. And he's like, out of the way, Deku. You're so useless. Like, honestly, what do you even expect to do? And then Deku gets into like a miniature fighting stance like in canon. And then Bakugo and his goons lunge at him to force him out of the way so they can keep tormenting this kid and hurt him in the process. But then, almost instinctively, Deku makes miniature hand signs, like he makes hand signs, and he slams his hand on the ground, causing a huge earth-style mud wall to appear from the ground, completely blocking the explosion and causing the other two kids to run into it. Then, after this, the wall crumbles shortly after. Not from Bakugo's potency, but because Deku couldn't hold it up. Bakugo scoffs, walking away, saying that it's not worth it, that even if he has a quirk, like he just showed, it's gonna be weaker than his. Like, already kind of developing that mindset that Izuku's going to be weaker than him. Which is really sad, because you guys will see later, he is not. And then Izuku goes home and he talks to Kurama about how he made a wall appear from the ground, thinking that he was going to be quirkless. Kurama immediately knows what happened. Luckily, it was a Friday. Kurama says, "Hey, Inko, I'm going to take him out for a weekend, alright?" Like, Inko kind of knowing what this was going to be, Kurama actually walks out of the house with Izuku, and while he's driving, not texting and driving, but while he's driving, he actually books an Airbnb for a cabin in woods, like 45 minutes to an hour away from his house. Kurama takes him to the cabin and then takes him 40 minutes out of the woods, like, because he was carrying him. So 40 minutes in, like, adult footsteps, like, so meaning it's going to take, like, a good, like, hour or two for a little kid, like, on foot. Then he actually, like, he sets Izuku down in this, like, open field, like, kind of open field, like, it's still, like, shielded by trees. Kurama saying, "Alright, Izuku, so, the thing that you have is called chakra. It isn't from this world. Nobody else in this world has it, but they do at the same time. But what's special about me and you is that we can harness it. Chakra is a form of life force. It is also a form of nature energy. And you can harness this and control it to make things." Kurama then actually jumps into a tree and says, "It's Friday right now. It's Friday sundown." He points up and the sun is like barely starting to go past the horizon. In order for me to teach you how to control this power that you have dormant inside of you, you must find your way back to the cabin by sundown. If you don't, then I will refuse to teach you how to control this. So, this is the test to prove how strong you truly desire to be. He then creates 3 more clones going in all 4 cardinal directions, like north, south, east, west. As well, each clone leaves behind 4 things. Izuku climbs up the one that his actual father was in, and, like, barely, like, being able to climb up the tree. Luckily, it was a small one. He finds a scroll. He falls down and he reads the scroll. He sees, whenever he looks in it, he sees how he can control this chakra and he can put it into his feet so he can climb up trees, walls, ceilings, and even water. He takes a good 4 hours to even just get the grasp of channeling chakra, like finding this hidden source of energy in him. And then he takes another 2 hours to even learn how to control it into one specific part. And then also to control it to climb up a tree. And the time would be around 11 p.m. He climbs up the other trees, finding a map, a compass, and a chakra induction paper with a scroll that is next to it. In the scroll, it reads, "Put your chakra into the paper and write down what it does," in this scroll, leaving a pin. And it says, fire will burn and turn to ash. Paper will be split into 2. Earth, it will crumble away. And then it also explains what lightning and water does. I think lightning, I think it charges it or something. I know water makes it wet. I don't know what lightning does. So he puts his chakra into it after taking like a good hour to have to like try and do it. And he sees that the paper splits in 2. One half turns into dirt and crumbles away, the other one burning and turning to ash, showing that he has the ability of fire, wind, and earth. Trying to figure out what this means, he expends all of his chakra even trying to grasp the idea of controlling fire, wind, and earth. He wakes up the next day to a wild boar huffing in his face like Then Izuku obviously jumps back, being startled, and the boar gets startled as well, but he runs at Izuku, and it hits him, hitting him into a tree, knocking the air out of him. The boar kind of shakes the like stun out of him, and then like goes to rush again. Izuku barely dodging it. He sticks to the tree by his feet, the boar ramming into the tree, rattling it, knocking like Deku off. And then it also hurts the boar. Like you can tell, like it's like rattling his head, and he's like completely stunned. Izuku then lands on the boar, kicking it, but it doesn't really do any damage. And because of this kick, it knocks the boar out of its dazed state. And in this state of rage, it rushes at Izuku, who's already mid-air. And then you also think he's hurt from falling, he's hurt from getting hit. So he barely jumps out of the way in time. And whenever it rushes at him, it clips his side, like his tusk. It rips, like, not rips, but it like cuts the side of his, it cuts his side open a little bit. Izuku then picks up a stick, trying to like whack it away, but the stick breaks immediately. The boar rushes at him again, clipping him a little bit lower. Then Izuku jumps out of the way. He hits a tree. Then whenever it does that, the boar hits a tree extremely hard, and it actually knocks it out. Izuku, having these two cuts on his side, is holding it, and he feels his stomach growling in hunger. Izuku then stands up, and he walks over to the boar. He takes the stick that was already broken and sees that it has a sharp point, and he realizes if he wants to survive, he is going to have to do what he doesn't want to do. Izuku begins crying, feeling bad that he has to do this, but he plunges the stick into the boar, even barely, and he's just sobbing while he's doing this. And with the small amount of practice that he had from last night, expending a ton of chakra because he doesn't know how to truly control it, he starts a really small fire, and he begins cooking the boar and eats it, regaining some energy and chakra. He begins his trek towards the cabin, but he has only made it a quarter of the way, and it's already sundown on Saturday. He knows that he is extremely off pace, like he needs to be faster. He remembers how his dad was jumping from branch to branch. He tries on the smaller trees, but he just slips and falls every single time he tries. The only reason he wasn't getting hurt was because that the trees were really small, and that there was a large amount of brush at the bottom. Then, whenever sunrise happens, he finally gets it, taking about 6 hours to get the hang of it. He slips now and then, but he can actually catch himself. Finally, he gets to the cabin door, the cabin doorsteps 5 minutes before the sun even passed the horizon. Kurama opens the door with a wide smile, saying how proud he is of him. Kurama patches up the cuts that he had, rubs the dirt off of his face, and takes him home. And whenever he does this, he actually gets the McDonald's on the way. The next week happens, and this is whenever summer break actually starts. Inko and Kurama take Izuku to the airport, putting him on the plane alone and sending him to America, where David actually picks him up. Melissa and Izuku are hugging each other tightly, missing each other for an entire almost year. For the entire summer, Izuku secretly goes out every night, calling his dad and training his chakra. Then in the day, him and Melissa actually play for hours on end, and it's just amazing. And then this actually continues for a full month. He stays there for a full month, then he goes back home getting picked up by his dad. Then for the remainder of the second month of their summer break, he actually learns to control his chakra natures and how it actually means. Growing up with all of this training kills a little bit of Izuku's emotions, realizing, making him a little bit more closed off. And whenever he's around people he doesn't know too well, he's really closed off and he doesn't like to talk. But whenever he's with Melissa or somebody he knows, his dad, he can talk to a brick wall and he'll just talk for hours on end. And then the same routine of training and then going to school, then going to America, then coming back and training more. This goes on until he's 6, so from 4 to 6, so for another 2 years. So he kind of knows how to control natures. He's kind of honestly mastered the chakra control of harnessing it into his body and being able to put it in one spot, but he's obviously a far way from fully mastering it. Kurama then also starts teaching him taijutsu and kenjutsu, getting him a little dummy that he can hit, like a punching bag. At school in kindergarten, he actually still gets bullied by Katsuki. He doesn't let him affect him, and he kind of just continues focusing on his training every day, coming home and actually training some more. Then we have a 6-year time skip. I know, a huge one. But in this 6 years, he has the same schedule of going to America a month, the next month, doing training and all of that, then doing school, then studying and being on the phone with Melissa and studying more. So I would say at this point, he would have mastered the chakra control. He'd be able to tree walk, he'd be able to walk up walls, and he would start to be getting the grasp of walking on water. And whenever it comes to taijutsu, I would say he's on par with what Sasuke was in canon at 12 years old. This is where Kurama actually takes Deku to Dagobah Beach, where he starts working on physical training as well as using the trash to teach taijutsu and to have a target practice for the dummies to have wow, I can't speak. To have practice so he can use his nature releases like as much as he can. Then we see a 13-year-old Izuku taking another flight to America, hugging an extremely flustered Melissa. Then for a month he lives with them just like every other day, or like every other summer break since he moved back to Japan. Except this time, Deku and Melissa train with each other, like studying, and she actually like fights alongside him, like offering some things like, like, hey, what if I made you something to help you out? And he's like, oh yeah, sure, like that'd be amazing. She blushes and run inside like giddily. The next day, or not the next day, but the day he's about to leave, she hands him forget those noises. A black rectangular box that fits kind of perfectly in his hand. She tells him to press the button on it whenever he gets home. He hugs her goodbye, hugging David as well, who actually helped Melissa make it. Then Deku gets home and he's unpacking. And whenever he's unpacking, he sees it, he picks it up, he presses the button, and it extends into a straight-bladed sword. He trains with it for a little bit. The blade is black. It's a completely black sword, but the sharp part is like completely white. He begins training with it and finds that it's perfect. It's a perfect height, perfect weight, perfect balance point. It's literally just perfect for him. He uses it for the next 2 years when he actually turns 15. This is where the story of My Hero Academia actually starts. He goes to class, the teacher throws the job like recommendation things like in the air saying, who am I kidding? I know you all want to be heroes. Bakugo then stands and he's like, Bakugo, didn't you want to go to UA? He then stands up saying, yeah, all you nerds. You'd be lucky if you could even be my sidekick. And he just goes on that same rant he does in canon. And then the teacher goes, oh yeah, Izuku, didn't you want to go there as well? Deku sits in the back with his headphones on, not really caring. He's actually listening to a playlist that him and Melissa share. After class, Bakugo tries pressing Deku. Deku just sighs and he sits up on the open windowsill. He winks at Bakugo, who's actually walking up to him, and he rolls backward out of the window, catching the edge, and then backflipping off, landing safely on the ground, after using the wall to break his fall. Bakugo lunges at the window, shocked about what he sees, scared for what this dude just did. Did he actually just jump out of a window to avoid him? But then he sees Deku walking away perfectly fine, no marks on him, not even a place where he could have landed safely. He's confused, and he rubs his eyes, but Deku is gone. He just cannot see him anymore. He shakes it off, saying whatever, must have been just a fever dream. Izuku, walking under the bridge, actually can sense the emotion of the sludge villain, the anger and the fear. He walks on the ceiling of the bridge, he walks up the wall on the ceiling of the bridge. When the sludge villain jumps out, he sees no one there. Then he feels his entire body get completely cut in half from a burst of wind. He reforms together, looking behind him, and he sees Deku drop from the ceiling, landing perfectly. And Deku says, cool, a quirk that lets you have the properties of sludge. He then forms the hand signs. Tiger, rabbit, dog, ram, dragon, wind release, wind cutter. He then slashes, and the sludge villain is cut into 30 different evenly sliced portions. Then, right as Deku's about to walk up to the one of the pieces, All Might jumps out of the sewer. I am here? He sees the incapacitated sludge villain on the floors and sees Deku standing behind him, and Deku goes, oh, yo, what's up, Uncle Might? How are you these days? All Might turns around, seeing the familiar green hair. Young Midoriya? Deku and All Might clean up the sludge villain, talking, putting it into 2 bottles. Deku helps seal it with extra chakra, so if it drops, nobody can just open it. All Might then asks how he took it down, and he shows him on a nearby piece of trash. And he says, before you lecture me about not using a quirk in public, it's not a quirk. It's energy, we'll say. And All Might, confused, he says, Deku then says, well, I gotta get going home. All Might then begins walking, realizing oh crap, my time limit, and he poofs. Deku hears him puff down, and he turns around seeing the Small Might form, and he's like, and Deku says, oh, why are you like this? And he lifts his shirt, showing him the injury. This happened, kid. Blech. And he starts spitting out blood, and he's like, ew. Yo, do you need that thing healed? And All Might's just like, wait, what? And Deku's just like, here. Deku walks over, placing his cool hand on the energy, All Might shivering from this, and a warm glow appears on his hand. It's green. And after a few minutes, it's completely healed. And Deku then says, give it a few days to rest. Just because I did it with chakra does not mean it doesn't take energy to heal that much of an injury that fast. It's gonna take a few days for you to fully recoup. All Might then asks, is there anything he could do to repay him? He says that he could help Melissa actually get into the sport course at UA. And Deku says, you're the number one hero. I'm sure you could pull a few strings. Deku then shrugs, even if you can't, later, Uncle Might. Whenever he's out of sight, All Might then wonders if he needs One for All. He's able to cut something in half, even if that's not even the full capabilities of his quirk. Being able to control wind is already powerful enough, but that much is crazy. If he had One for All, he would be unstoppable. He buffs back up, seeing that the pain is no longer there, but he actually buffs back down because of just the pure exhaustion of the healing process. And then the 10 months of training start. Izuku, for the first 2 months of this, goes to America, chills it up with Melissa, telling her to apply to UA with him, but for the support course because she doesn't have a quirk, but she makes really good support items. While blushing, she obliges to this. That would be a great idea. I don't know why she wasn't thinking about the support course in the anime, but she asks her father, and he actually excitedly agrees to it. He says that he'll talk to the Modoris about her moving in there and having her come back every summer like what Izuku did. The two look at each other excited, Melissa blushing, turning away, covering her face. Deku, despite having the ability to sense emotions, is confused. Then David laughs slightly about how oblivious Deku is to the obvious crush Melissa has on him. After 2 months, Deku comes back to Japan, Melissa staying there and working on some more support items so that way she can show off for UA. And after the 10 months, he comes back and for the next month, he cleans up the rest of Dagobah so that way he can just get it done, so that way he can have a good spot to train for speed and stamina, running along the beach. Running on the beach is actually really good for your calves. It's good for your shin splints. It's good for your quads even, and it can build speed and stamina. Then in the nighttime, nightfall, if he's not already home, after he gets home, he actually goes out to the forest and he trains his taijutsu, kenjutsu, his nature releases, and he meditates. All Might then, a month after Deku had cleaned the whole beach, he walks up to the beach with Mirio, and they both see Deku running on the extremely clean beach. The two walk up to him, and he actually takes his headphones off, and he's like, oh, what's up, Uncle Might? Who's this? Mirio then introduces himself, and he's like, wait, Uncle Might? All Might looks down at Mirio and is like, yeah, long story. All Might asks if Deku is the one that cleaned the beach, and Deku is like, yeah, it was me. It was pretty easy. I mean, it only took me a month. All Might shocked at this, dang, how strong is this kid? He then says he needed some way to train for the entrance exam for UA, and All Might's like, yeah, that's fair. And he's like, wait, why didn't you just ask if I could recommend you? And he's like, nah, I want to earn my spot. Well, I wanted to earn my spot in UA. It's not that I thought Melissa couldn't do it, but I knew that she wouldn't unless she randomly got a recommendation letter. Well, I mean, I guess she is since I'm going, but... And All Might immediately clicks in his brain that she obviously really likes this kid. If she's willing to move from America to Japan because a boy is going to a school that she also wants to go to, that's still crazy commitment. Then, and Deku was like, oh, well, if you don't want to train here, you can. I bet he's your successor, huh? I'm surprised you didn't ask me or Melissa, but I guess he is older and in better shape, so no judgment. All Might is shocked, a successor, how did he know about this? And he's like, and Deku's just like, oh, David obviously told me. And then All Might's like, Deku shrugs, putting his headphones back on. I'll see y'all later, I guess. Mirio then follows after him, like, and they both like run together and they start training. For the next 6 months, Deku and Mirio train together. Like, they spar without powers, then they spar with powers, like, and Deku winning, like, I'm gonna say he only wins like 35% of the time. They actually become really close friends. Halfway through, Mirio actually gets one for all, and I would say he starts with about like 35 to 40%. Then, after this, we have the day of the entrance exam, where we see Deku picking up Melissa from the hotel that she had to get, because the flight was a red-eye flight, obviously, and she needed rest. The day before the entrance exam, because she had stayed up all night. She had worked the entire 10 months on some gadgets that she wanted to use. Then we get a sight of Deku and Melissa standing next to each other, looking up at the UA building. And that is where we're going to end off part 1. Thank y'all so much for watching part 1 to What If Deku Was Kurama's Son. I had a lot of fun making it. I have a lot of more stuff to go into, so if y'all like it, please remember, like and subscribe. I know this was like a longer part, so I'm going to try and keep the parts to being about like 30-ish minutes, so I hope y'all enjoyed. Remember, like and subscribe. It's your boy, Jay What Ifs, and he's out of here.